unveiling the divine sequel, The Passion of the Christ 2: What Lies Beyond. As we await The Passion of the Christ resurrection, we wonder, how will this cinematic revelation redefine faith-based storytelling and captivate audiences once again? Movies have a very special way of bringing different people together, even those who might not normally spend time together. Back in 2004, when The Passion of the Christ was shown in theaters, it became a huge hit and made a ton of money, around $612.1 million all around the world. This movie showed the crucifixion in a very powerful and realistic way. It was probably the best and most intense portrayal of that event ever put on screen. For many people, it's the most successful movie ever made about faith. Just like any really good movie, it moves our emotions and makes us think deeply. It asks us to understand and come to terms with one of the most famous pictures in our history, a hurt and suffering man nailed to a cross with thorns on his head. The film also sparks our imagination about miracles, heavenly creatures, good and bad forces, and important ideas like staying loyal, dealing with betrayal, and forgiving others. That's why we're all looking forward to Mel Gibson's new movie, each of us feeling a mix of curiosity, fear, love, excitement, pity, or even shame. Pick your feeling. When they first announced a sequel, it was quite puzzling, especially since Family Guy had joked about it before. But actor Jim Caviezel, who read a version of the script, says we're about to see something incredible. He thinks it could be Mel Gibson's best work yet, like The Empire Strikes Back of Christian movies, a real masterpiece that you have to see to believe. We don't know a lot about what Mel Gibson has in mind for the sequel, except for what's in the Bible. But there's a book called The Gospel According to Mel Gibson: Fact, Faith, and Fantasy in the Passion of the Christ Resurrection by Helen Bond, a respected expert on Christian history. Even though Satan didn't have a big role in the first movie, it seems like a big part of the new film will happen in hell. That's where we'll get to see how Gibson imagines never-ending suffering. This might even make Clive Barker's Hellraiser 2: Hellbound look less scary. People who love horror will probably rush to see this part of the movie, which could break free from the usual faith-based style and give us a truly amazing cinematic experience that could rival what George Lucas has done. A decade later, Paramount Pictures released Noah, directed by Darren Aronofsky, which seemed to take inspiration from The Passion of the Christ. It's not exactly a spin-off with Ewoks, but maybe more like Solo or Rogue One in the Star Wars world. It's about a really important character from the Bible, although some might think he was a bit crazy, and the movie didn't avoid showing that. Interestingly, Noah had angels in the form of stone creatures helping him, kind of like what William Shatner had planned for the ending of Star Trek V, but that didn't happen. In that scrapped ending, Kirk and his crew faced off against a powerful godlike being, making it one of the Star Trek series' most talked about moments, even though not everyone liked it, and it happened in 1989's The Final Frontier. When filmmakers show angels or stories from the Bible, they face a tricky challenge. They want to make these spiritual beings, like angels, or ideas from the Bible, look a certain way that's visually appealing. But they also have to be careful not to upset people who hold these ideas as very special and mysterious. So many times, movies try to keep these things kind of unclear so that people who believe in them can still enjoy the story without feeling like their sacred beliefs are being messed with. But in movies, there's also a need to make ideas clear so the audience can understand them. Sometimes filmmakers use things from nature to explain bigger ideas that everyone can relate to. So in the sequel to The Passion of the Christ, it wouldn't be a surprise if heavenly beings were shown as wise trees or talking rocks, for example. But because Mel Gibson tends to follow traditional thinking, we might actually see something more specific and maybe even controversial. Some people think Gibson has hinted at the idea of ancient aliens. When he talked about the sequel on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2016, he mentioned a different world that might not be limited to just hell. His talk was kind of vague, which got people thinking about big cosmic ideas and how they connect to the Bible stories. It's not very likely, but there's a chance that Gibson might want to show viewers something really unexpected, like a spaceship that belongs to God, or even what God's special place looks like. Some people have mentioned how Marvel movies show powerful aliens who live longer than humans. These aliens sometimes visit Earth, kind of like how the Greek god Zeus used to interact with humans. In many interviews, Mel Gibson has been saying the same thing over and over again, that the story won't follow a straight line. This suggests that the movie will focus on Jesus coming back to life, but it might not tell the story exactly as it's written in the Bible. He also talks about there being a main event in the story, but it will be shown alongside other things happening in the movie. Gibson drops these little hints and clues without giving away the whole story, but from what we do know, a big part of the movie will be about Jesus going down into hell to fight against Satan and his dark kingdom. In the beginning, the first Christians thought that after Jesus died, he went down to hell to save the souls of good and innocent people from suffering forever. The Bible doesn't talk about this event in a lot of detail, but it mentions it briefly. So the main inspiration for the movie could come from something called the harrowing of hell. This is a vision that Catherine Emmerich had, where Jesus starts gathering the souls of those who were lost and showing himself to them. He rescues them from hell and brings them to a better place with important religious figures and saints. The upcoming part of the story will surely delve into the resurrection and Jesus going up to heaven, something that fans are really curious about and want to know how Mel Gibson will bring to life in his own unique way. The title, The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, tells us it will focus on Jesus coming back to life. There's a chance that Jesus might look perfect, like using movie magic to make him look younger and more idealized. When it comes to him going up to heaven, it could be shown with lots of bright light and a slightly blurry effect, so it stays mysterious and connects with a faith-based feeling. On the other hand, Gibson might go with Jim Caviezel's current age of 18, making Jesus look tougher, like he's come back from the dead with all his wounds still visible. This could spark arguments, since Gibson often deals with controversy, and it might start a lively conversation between religious experts and people who love horror movies. If Gibson decides to take a more technical approach to showing the Ascension, he might venture into sci-fi territory. He could imagine celestial spaceships or even majestic alien figures wearing white robes. Think of Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, where the Skeksis and the Mystics merge, creating radiant godlike beings known as Urskeks. This kind of visually inventive depiction of God's physical form and advanced technology would definitely excite fans of the sci-fi genre. However, it might not sit well with an audience that values faith-based themes. Right now, we're not exactly sure how Gibson plans to bring all of this to life, but regardless of the details, the movie is expected to be a huge success. As we conclude this glimpse into the upcoming The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, we're left with a tapestry of curiosity and anticipation. Are you intrigued by the potential shifts in representation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video captivating, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more videos.